Jackie Ormes was one of the few women cartoonists of her day, but she was also the only African-American woman cartoonist at the time, and the very first. And Jackie Ormes will be remembered as an unstoppable force.
Jackie Ormes was born Zelda Maven Jackson on August 1st, 1911 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She was 6 years old when her father, William Winfield Jackson, was killed in an automobile accident. After remarrying, Jackie's mother, Mary Brown Jackson, moved her daughters, Jackie and Dolores, to Monongahela, Pennsylvania. In high school in the suburb, Jackie was always busy. She taught herself to draw and published her first cartoons in her high school yearbook in 1930. While still in high school, she covered a Joe Louis boxing match for the Pittsburgh Courier. The Courier was Black America's largest newspaper with over 300,000 subscriptions nationwide. The Pittsburgh Courier gave Jackie Ormes her first job in journalism. Ormes did proofreading, editing, freelance writing, police beats, and court cases.
By the time Jackie graduated from high school in 1930, women made up just 21% of the workforce, and even then the positions they took were mostly quote-unquote women's work, like teachers, secretaries, household help. But Jackie had a different path in mind. Even if you were a working woman in this era, that usually ended when you got married. There were even marriage bars at the time, policies that required women to be fired once they got married.
In the studio of Jackie Ormes, one of the few women cartoonists, the popular comic strip characters of Torchy and Heartbeat and Patty Jo literally spring to life. Syndicated in scores of newspapers, her cartoons reach more than 1 million readers each week. Fashion-minded youngsters especially like Torchy Togs, the cutout section of the comics.
In 1937, she got to publish her first comic strip.
Jackie wanted to help uplift black citizens by showing intelligent, capable characters like themselves.
Torchy Brown and Dixie to Harlem. Miss Ormes created 4 comic strips during her career as a comic satirist. Torchy Brown and Dixie to Harlem in 1937, Candy in 1945, Patty Jo and Ginger in 1946, and Torchy and the Heartbeats in 1950. Jackie Ormes' comic strips challenged many social standards through artistic engagement. Torchy Brown was an outspoken girl from the South. She joined the Great Migration to New York City. Torchy wanted to sing at the Cotton Club in Harlem. She was not your typical black girl character in the comic strips. She was tall, good-looking, and well-spoken. Her clothes were the latest fashions. Torchy Brown looked good. Miss Ormes used Torchy as a role model. She brought beautiful black women into comic strips. Jackie put an end to racist stereotypes in the comic strips when it came to black women. On May 1st, 1937, Torchy Brown and Dixie to Harlem was published in the Pittsburgh Courier. The Courier had 14 cities carrying their newspaper across the country. This made Jackie Ormes the first black American woman to have her comic strip published nationally. Torchy Brown and Dixie to Harlem ran until April 30th, 1938. Jackie moved to Chicago in 1942. She started freelancing for the Chicago Defender and scooped mainstream white media in reporting on the integration at the Great Lakes Naval Training Center. Miss Ormes had many projects while working at the Chicago Defender. Jackie used her social page, The Social World, to support the Double V campaign. Candy, her second comic strip, a single-panel comic about a good-looking urban house cleaner, ran from March 24th until July 21st, 1945. Ormes sojourned from the Chicago Defender back to the Pittsburgh Courier in 1945. The Courier is where Patty Jo and Ginger found a home. Patty Jo and Ginger was also a single-panel comic strip. Out of the Mouth of Babes is about Patty Jo. She was a really bright little black girl. She liked sharing her opinions with Ginger, her attractive big sister. Patty Jo had a biting sense of humor. She was a way for Miss Ormes to take on current events using the innocence of a child to artistically engage. Miss Ormes used satire in her comic strips as editorial controversial issues. Patty Jo and Ginger ran for 11 years from September 1st, 1945 until September 22nd, 1956.
Jackie has received many awards for her creations.
In 1947, Jackie Ormes contracted with Terry Lee Doll Company.
Creations that have developed into many interesting sidelines. Probably the most famous is the Patty Jo doll.
The doll she designed and created was the first black American doll that was contemporary. The Patty Jo doll had full fashion wardrobe.
One of the nation's first, Patty Jo is known and favored in America as the ideal Negro-type doll, a cute playmate that's brought happiness to many a youngster.
It was loved by both black and white children.
Achievement Jackie Ormes is proudest of. Happiness is her trademark.
The Patty Jo doll is now highly sought after by collectors. August 1950, the Pittsburgh Carrier ran Miss Ormes' last comic strips. It was a makeover of Torchy Brown. The new strip was called Torchy in Heartbeats. This time Torchy Brown was cosmopolitan. She was beautiful, well-educated, and independent. The talk was Miss Ormes designed Torchy to look like Lena Horne. Torchy in the Heartbeats was written like a chapter book, Torchy looking for adventure and the right man. Miss Ormes once again uses her characters in Torchy in the Heartbeats to write about hard issues like racism, politics, environmental concerns, and misogynism. The last installment of Torchy in the Heartbeats was September 18, 1954. Jackie Ormes used her comic strips to uplift black American women, challenging ignorance and unfounded biases one comic strip at a time.
Jackie Ormes was unstoppable. Like the bars of soap she'd sculpted into works of art as a kid, she sculpted her world into the world she wanted to see. And when she'd achieved her own dreams, she dedicated the rest of her life to helping others achieve theirs. Jackie drew until she physically could not hold her drawing tools anymore. And even then, when most people would quit, she picked up a paintbrush instead, and she continued to paint for years. She refused to back down even when her own body began to deteriorate. And after everything, she still didn't feel entitled to even be remembered. In 1985, just months before she died, Jackie said in an interview with the Chicago Reader, "I'm always surprised when people remember me." 33 years later, she was immortalized in the Will Eisner Comic Industry Hall of Fame. Jackie Ormes will be remembered as a trailblazer. She'll be remembered as a philanthropist, a feminist, a caring and compassionate human being. She'll be remembered as the first Black American woman cartoonist. Jackie Ormes will be remembered as an unstoppable force.